Welcome back for an instant Tubi classic. The movie begins in a room filled with rose petals, but a trail of blood leads to a bloody bathtub. Did someone get their period? Or something more sinister is afoot? After being in an on-and-off relationship for 13 years with his girlfriend, Shantae, Playboy doctor Dorian Graham has finally decided to marry her. However, all they do in their marriage is argue. The day before their first wedding anniversary, Shantae comes home early from work to start their anniversary weekend early. However, Dorian tells her he must attend his friend Roman's bachelor party. This pisses her off and she accuses him of not prioritizing her, especially because he often works too much and stays out late. Friends Roman, Miles, Neil, and Dorian head to a strip club for Roman's bachelor party, and everyone is enjoying their time except for Dorian, who is isolating himself at the bar, waiting for Shantae to respond to his text. To his surprise, Shantae's younger sister Reagan, who's there to celebrate her birthday, approaches him. "Oh, Reagan, a trifling hoe-ass sister." While Miles and Neil party with Reagan and her friends, Roman asks Dorian about Reagan since he didn't see her at his wedding. Dorian tells him that she wasn't at his wedding as she was probably in jail and that her shenanigans have led to Shantae blocking her ass. Later, Reagan gets ratchet AF and pulls out a knife on a girl, so Dorian intervenes, drags Reagan out of the club, and drives her home. Reagan says she an Instagram influencer and tells Dorian to follow her. "Bitch, who you even influencing?" Before she leaves the car, Reagan tries to seduce him, but he continues to reject her trifling hoe-ass advances. The next morning, he finds Shantae in their nursery, crying for the twins they lost. She asks him if he's happy with how things are going between them and expresses her disappointment with Dorian, always prioritizing his career over her, since she's ready to be a mom. Dorian promises and assures her that they will have children, which calms her down. At her office, Shantae's fine-ass coworker shows up and damn ma'am, her colleague Jackie walks up and she be looking at him too. Shantae shares with Jackie that she feels like Dorian doesn't love her anymore, prompting Jackie to suggest doing a marriage pass to spice her marriage up. Jackie isn't giving her advice. That's straight up sabotage. Meanwhile, Roman advises Dorian to be honest with Shantae that he doesn't want to have kids at all to not keep her hopes up, but Dorian refuses as that will hurt her even more. At their anniversary dinner, Shantae decided to take her puppies out for some fresh air. Shantae asks Dorian about Roman's bachelor party, prompting him to tell her about Reagan. She then tells him that she's giving him a marriage pass, one night out to do whatever he wants with whomever he wants, saying it can bring them closer together. Reluctant as it's cheating, Dorian asks if she has someone in mind since she seems genuinely into it. Although Shantae denies having anyone in mind, she is thinking of the fine-ass man in her office. At the rehearsal dinner of Roman and his fiancée, Bridget, Dorian informs Roman, Miles, and Neil about the marriage pass. Envious, the trio tells him that Shantae must really love him and that he's stupid if he won't use it. Soon, Reagan arrives and approaches Miles, whom she's dating. She gives Dorian suggestive looks, and he can't help but stare as Reagan flirts with Miles. When Dorian goes outside the restaurant to get some air, Reagan comes on to him and kisses him. Boy, there ain't going back from that. Shantae confronts Reagan about showing up to the party and not telling her, to which Reagan casually tells her that she's invited and she doesn't need her permission to go anywhere. Shantae then informs her about their dad's retirement party on Sunday. When Dorian and Shantae arrive home, they go over the marriage pass again. They agree to certain terms and agreements, but Dorian forgets to read the fine print about not sleeping with siblings. They agree to do it on Saturday. As Saturday draws near, Dorian grows increasingly anxious. On Saturday night, Dorian sees Shantae looking so beautiful in her new dress, which he asks her to burn after as he doesn't want to see her in anything she wore to meet another man. Girl, she about to burn the whole house down when she finds out you plan to sleep with her sis. After Shantae leaves, Dorian meets with Reagan at a restaurant. She asks him to take photos of her for Instagram and she gets hella extra, even acting all seductive when talking about phone apps. He tells her about the marriage pass and they head to a hotel after. As he maneuvers the gardening hoe, Reagan asks him to tell her that he loves her even if he doesn't mean it, which he obeys. For a doctor, Dorian is dumb as fuck. The next morning, Reagan suggests grabbing breakfast and having round two after, but Dorian reminds her that it's just a one-night thing. After asking who Shantae's pass is, Reagan taunts Dorian, telling him that Shantae's pass must be someone she likes at work, which angers Dorian. Nah, Dorian, you dumb getting mad at that when you done fucked the sister. When Dorian gets home, he sees Shantae's sex dress on the bed. He sends Reagan a text apologizing for almost throwing hands earlier. Later, he sees an incoming call on Shantae's phone from someone listed as Ray with a heart beside it. He then watches as Shantae picks up her phone, looking delighted. In the car, Ray texts Shantae again, asking when they can meet again. Dorian gets all insecure and starts asking Shantae questions about the marriage pass. Shantae says no questions allowed. He reminds her of the marriage pass rules, to which Shantae responds with a casual but shady, "Sure. I'm giving Shantae an infinite pass because of what homeboy did." At Shantae's parents' house for her dad's retirement party, Reagan walks in doing the absolute most. Dorian tries to talk to his parents-in-law, but they shut his ass down, saying he ain't good enough for their daughter. At the table, it gets awkward AF when the family criticizes her influencer gig. The sisters argue and Shantae excuses herself. Dorian ends up defending Reagan, and Shantae gets upset about it. He checks on Reagan, who seduces him by making him watch herself give her coochie a fistful. Shantae enters the room and Reagan immediately composes herself and tells her that Dorian told her that she was out of line. The sisters apologize to each other and they make up. This fake-ass hoe immediately whispers into Dorian's ear after. While playing basketball with Roman and Neil, Dorian confirms that he used his pass with someone they don't know. Miles arrives with Reagan, and while Reagan settles herself on a bench nearby, Roman informs Miles that Dorian used his pass, to which Miles says that if Shantae is as good in bed as Reagan, he won't be talking to anyone else. Because of this, Dorian walks out, but the boys chalk it up to him being a protective brother-in-law. Reagan follows Dorian to his car, and they swap cooties. Miles then sees Reagan exiting Dorian's car and looking flirty. Soon, Dorian and Reagan continue their affair. They get a hotel together, while Shantae all alone. Reagan even visits Dorian's clinic as Ms. Gina Peach, and they bone inside his clinic, which Dorian's nurse is starting to notice. "Girl, please be messy and tell his wife." One night, as the pair exits the clinic and heads down the parking lot, Miles appears and confronts them. As Miles and Dorian fight, even with Dorian having the upper hand, Reagan pulls out a knife and stabs Miles, resulting in his death. After instructing Reagan to go to the hotel room he booked for her and get rid of her clothes, Dorian places Miles's body in a huge bag in the trunk of his car. He picks up his water bottle and washes Miles's blood off the ground and into the drain. The nurse almost catches him, but she just thinks he's being fishy because he's whoring himself. Dorian then drives to a dock where he drops the bag with Miles' body into the water. Honestly, if I were Dorian, I'd report Reagan's ass because ain't no way I'm going down for murder. At home, Shantae notices how Dorian seems to be in distress and asks him about it, but he dismisses her, saying it's just work. He then texts Reagan that he's home and tells her to get some sleep. The next day, Shantae notices how fixated Dorian is on the news and asks him again about what's bothering him. Seeing her smiling at the text she just received, Dorian confronts her about Ray, causing an argument to erupt. She says she's not cheating. Because of this, Shantae decides to stay with her parents for a few days and leaves. Homeboy is a hypocrite for that one when he's the one hoeing around. As Dorian continues to monitor the news, Reagan appears. She asks where he left Miles's body, but Dorian refuses to tell her. Thinking they're off the hook, Reagan begins to undress and seduce him to celebrate. To Dorian's horror, Shantae returns to apologize and make up with him, prompting to stuff Reagan into the closet. Shantae says they had a dry spell, so she's ready to get down and dirty. Reagan decides to come out of the closet as Shantae goes upstairs to get ready. He eventually gets Reagan to leave. Afterwards, Dorian talks to Neil, who works building security, to confirm that the cameras at the parking lot are not working. Since he hasn't heard from Miles for a while, Neil asks him to ask Reagan where Miles is, as he's sure that Miles won't go anywhere, without telling her knowing that she's pregnant. As Shantae goes through their mail at home, she finds a card with congrats written on it, which contains a photo of an ultrasound and a letter to Dorian. Why that ultrasound have the baby fully grown already, though? Meanwhile, Dorian confronts Reagan, who admits that she's 6 weeks pregnant and tells him that with Miles gone, they can now be a family. Freaking out, Dorian clarifies that they were just having fun and that he doesn't want kids and he doesn't love her. He orders her to abort the baby and gives her $10,000. He sends her the money via Cash App. At home, while Shantae is still at work, Dorian uses Miles's phone to send the boys, including himself, a text informing them that Reagan is getting an abortion and the decision is messing with him, explaining his absence. He later finds Shantae throwing a fit in the nursery, and she confronts him about his baby. She gets so upset, but I'm confused here because this marriage pass was all due to her stupid ass. Dorian assures her that the woman he had the pass with is aborting the baby and that he wants kids with her, but Shantae reveals that she went to a doctor and was told that she is experiencing premature menopause. Shantae further confronts him for marrying her, because he got her pregnant, but never acting excited about the babies, and looking relieved instead of worried during the miscarriage. To Dorian's horror, Dr. Washington from the medical board shows him a video of him and Reagan boning inside his clinic, saying the video was anonymously emailed to everyone on the medical board. Yo, the way that looked like a whole production for someone's OnlyFans content. She also shows him visitor logs and patient reports that were directly sent to her office, which serve as proof that he was indeed having an affair with a patient. Although Dorian attempts to explain that Reagan is not his patient, his medical license gets suspended. Dorian fails to get hold of Reagan, and he learns that she doesn't live at the house where he dropped her off before. Upon returning home, he sees the IT at Shantae's office looking for Shantae. When he confronts him, the IT says his name is Will, not Ray, denying having an affair with Shantae. Later that night, a police officer questions Dorian about Reagan's bruises. Dorian admits sleeping with her, but denies beating her, saying Reagan is good at editing her photos, and she's framing him because he rejected her. When Dorian goes through Miles's phone, he learns that Reagan sent a photo of them in bed to Miles, asking him to go to his clinic to talk about it. He then receives a text from Reagan, asking him to meet up at the indicated address and time. I mean, we knew Reagan was crazy, but she crazy. The next morning, Dorian meets with an unbruised Reagan, who's asking for money, saying $10,000 is too small for someone who has $1.5 million to his name. She threatens to reveal what happened to Miles if he doesn't comply, saying she has incriminating footage of him killing Miles. He realizes that everything is part of Reagan's con, and left with no choice, Dorian goes to the bank and gives her the money. Oh, you a broke ass now. When Dorian gets home, he learns that Shantae has left him. As it turns out, Shantae is taking revenge on Dorian because she discovered that the juice he made her drink right before her miscarriage was laced with an abortion drug. She made Reagan, or Ray, who is in need of money, her accomplice. Oh, pop off, sis. Now we love little Miss Ray for her trifling ass. When Reagan informed Shantae that Miles was beginning to get suspicious, Shantae installed new cameras at the parking lot with the help of Will the IT man, and emailed Dorian and Reagan's video to the medical board members. After killing Miles, Reagan manipulates the footage, deleting herself to implicate Dorian. Shantae then sent a funding release email to the bank, and after getting the money from Dorian, Reagan gives the bag of money to Shantae. Yes, Queen, get that bag. Soon, police barge into Dorian's house. 3 months later, a pregnant Reagan is enjoying a spa day while Shantae is enjoying her new life as a chef, and the sisters' relationship has gotten happier and stronger. What did you guys think of this one? Did you see that twist coming? Because I didn't, and I loved it. I didn't think I'd love Reagan, but she ate.
Did y'all like that one? Honey, well, make sure you like and leave us a comment. I try to respond to as many as I can. And if you like Tubi, Lifetime, or just straight up trifling movies, make sure you subscribe for real. For more videos, you can click here or here.